Welcome to A Sex Worker's Guide to the Galaxy, where the answer to life, the universe, and everything is sex workers. I'm your host, Parker Westwood. I'm coming at you today with the other half of the interview with Makeda Joi. And I believe I left it as a cliffhanger where we were about to talk about joy. And so this is the last half of the conversation where we go in hard about joy and resilience. And we get deep, but we have fun. And I am really excited for you all to hear it. And yeah, I think we could all use a little more joy and a little help cultivating resilience right now. Yeah, I think talking about joy right now is appropriate considering the state of the world, and I just want to send out a whole lot of love to all of you listening right now because it's just a scary world right now, and I love y'all. So I hope you're doing well, and I'm really glad you're here. So thank you for being you and for being here and for doing what you do. But before we jump in, we're going to do a little of the general podcasty things. If y'all listen to podcasts, I'm sure you're so used to this. This podcast is brought to you by all of the lovely Patreon supporters. If you would like to become a supporter of this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/sexygalaxypod and check it out. There's a lot of different levels. I recently added a $1 level, so you can support this podcast for $1 a month. Every little bit helps. 50% of the proceeds on Patreon go towards sex worker exclusive art events via Answer Detroit, a network of sex workers to excite revolution. So that's really freaking cool. You get to support the expression and ability to tell our own stories of sex workers, specifically in Detroit. So do that. But if you can't do that, no big deal. I'm still glad you're here, glad you're listening. If you have a bit of time and gumption, you could leave a glowing review on whatever platform you listen to this podcast. It really does help. And I do read them all and they make me so happy. So, yeah, shout out to everyone who's left a review. Much love. You can also follow the show on Twitter at SexyGalaxyPod. You can follow me on Instagram at parker.westwood. And I think that's all the things that I need to talk about regarding the podcast, at least for now. Stay tuned. But with all of that being said, I think we should talk about joy. So let's get into it. Because in this world, there's a lot of things that cause grief and anger and sorrow, and we have to have the fucking other side of the coin.
We gotta flip it.
Yeah.
It's time to flip it, honey.
It's time to flip it. So your last name is Joy.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how you came up with your name and then launch into joy for you.
Okay.
I want to hear it.
Okay. So for anybody listening, I'm actively smiling.
Yes.
Big ass cheeks, just enjoy. So I'm really corny in that matter, but my dad, before he passed away, was a huge proponent for just joy, happiness, not toxic happiness where you just always avoid shit, but just the glass is half full, keep going, very motivational, always make new stories was one of his mantras. Always find a new reason to explore and have adventure and have something to look forward to and a reason and something to tell. You want to be able to share something that you did. So always make these stories. So Makeda, so I have this long-standing folkloric crush on Queen Sheba. And for anybody who like ever grew up or had to read the Bible at some point, there's a book called Song of Solomon, which is a book of erotic poetry.
Amazing.
And oh yeah, they're not gonna preach a sermon about that, girl. They're gonna tell you keep your legs shut. But right there in the middle, honey, the king is talking about how the woman's breasts are like fawns in a field. And oh yes, girl.
Yes. I
So
definitely skipped
apparently,
this part when I read the Bible.
no. You need to get that because you might convert. You might come back if you just if it could be that part and then the part where Jesus was flipping the tables. Like I like the Jesus. And then I like erotic poetry.
Yes.
The rest of that, we can, it's got some good things. But the point is, apparently the book is said to be written by King Solomon, by the Queen Sheba, who is said to have come from, I think it's at like the land of Cush. This is like folklore. This isn't specifically in that book, Song of Solomon. But like the land in Africa where like people had dark skin. So like very dark skin, so like mine. And so that might be like present day Sudan, Eritrea, Kenya, like these areas like further north of the Nile. And apparently they said that she traveled to see King Solomon and she brought camels and they were heavy with gold and she just walked in and like she was the baddest bitch and she was smart, she was fine and she was rich and she was like, hey boo, and he was like, oh shit. And then so there's so many cultures that have written about her. So she shows up in the Bible, the Torah, the Quran. There's like art made about her in like medieval Europe, like when Christianity starts spreading there. So there's just a lot of lore about her and this intense beauty and wealth that has spanned the test of time. And so she goes by a lot of different names. There's Sheba. There is, I think, of course, there's Makeda. And then what's the one in Islam? Is it Melanek? No. Did you watch the show American Gods?
I haven't yet. That is on my list. I've heard
I
it's
cannot believe it is the craziest, most wonderfulest shit because I also love like lore about like cultural deities.
Same. The mythology
And
is so fun.
girl. And so, shouts out the mythology. So, so I can't remember her name in Islam, but I can't believe I'm forgetting. But anyways, like she's just been brought into this culture and respected throughout time, and just for this like regality in Ethiopia. Oh yeah, they're saying she may be from Ethiopia and Sudan, so I forgot about Ethiopia. Shouts out to Ethiopia. But Ethiopians believe that she is like the distant ancestor of like she was the beginning of like the Ethiopian Empire, and she ended up like as the ancestor of I think it was Haile Selassie, who ended up was like the king or the emperor of Ethiopia, and they defeated the Italians. So like they were never conquered. They were like the only country that was ever colonized in Africa. All these things. The point is, I'm trying to like, I don't know if anybody listening can tell, I'm a freaking nerd. And I just read stuff, but I'm also very awkward. And so it all mixes together and it might be hard to follow. Please just laugh along with me and love me and just accept me for who I am. Point being,
yes,
Makeda is a bad bitch from the ancient world. And she is dark and she is opulent and she is respected and she is sensual and she is unforgotten.
Yes.
Boom, hey, I'm in the room. That's me. So that's where Makeda came from. And Joy was just like, who am I presenting myself as in the world as a provider? But like, no matter where I may walk, what do I want to come with? What am I able to leave behind? So like, even with my clients, like we're going to laugh and we're going to be a little silly. and there might be some smack talking because that always makes me laugh. And I
Yes.
feel like clients don't always expect it, especially if they're coming in for like this very sultry or sexy, experience. And I mean, you're going to get that too because balance.
Hmm.
But, like, I feel like it can also help to break up. There's a lot of ways to experience pleasure, I guess is what I'm saying. So, yes, the physical part. Yes, the romantic part. Yes, the talking. But let's be silly too. Like, are we going to jump on the bed? Are we smack talking? Like, so that's who I like to be in the world, but I'm especially like really conscious of that when taking a lover.
Yes. I completely agree. Like intellectual play is such a
Mhm.
important piece for me.
Mhm.
And a
Mhm.
lot of time that is like talking shit to each other because I love that. Or like good intellectual discourse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So like my first, like even just like intellectual, like I have a thing for being taught. I don't know if I have like a professor fetish. I
Mm,
don't know. I'm just gonna put that out there to
that's
anybody
relatable.
listening.
Hmm.
Teach me something, goddamn. I want an A+. What do I have to do? But my first client was Portuguese, and so he talked to me about like the history of like the relationship between Portugal and Japan, and I'm like, what? So like, of course, like land there, post, petite mort, but
Mm,
just having the best conversation and like I don't know when else I would get to have that or who else he would even be able to share that with. Like who in his life might be willing to talk about something that's a part of his experience and learning and culture. And I really appreciate that about this work is that, and I know you understand this, but there's this very unique, like safe space where you get to talk, where clients get to tell stories that they probably haven't gotten to tell in a long time.
hmm.
They got to, get to share memories that probably most people in their circle either already know or they, were there when they were made. And I guess in ways it kind of it reminds me of like make new stories, but you make new stories because you want to be able to tell them. And if you can't tell them, like, you might forget it. Like, you don't get to experience that pleasure of that same memory again. So I really love being able to, draw that joy out in different ways.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that always makes things really, really sweet. And then I'm edified because I've learned something new. It's, kind of done something for my professor kink. And we
Yes.
all go home happier.
I love that. I mean that rings so much truth for me too, where it's like I talk about the power of stories a lot. I mean, that's one of the reasons
Mm-hmm.
I started this podcast is I think that
Mm-hmm.
we when we tell our own stories, there's power in that, not only for us, but those hearing it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the idea of like creating new stories while also making space to like hold old stories for clients
Mm-hmm.
as well, like ones that they
Mm-hmm.
don't get to tell anymore. Because there have I can definitely resonate with that. There's a lot of clients who have told me things that I'm just like, oh, like I can't
Mm-hmm.
think of a single person in your life you could probably tell that to.
Yeah. It's a privilege. That part is a privilege to like
Agreed.
to be trusted
Hmm.
and to be able to create a sense of safety. And I think that like clients come because it's the whole package. And not every client wants to talk. That's fine. But I think
Yeah.
the ones that we all really appreciate are the ones where like there's a level of depth
Yeah.
where you can have that container of like this is just a private space and just us and like and I know and that's it and it's safe here. Like you're safe here.
Yeah.
And then like the client can breathe, we can all appreciate it. And there's this kindness and joy, and then that's what you're left with, not the traffic you had to deal with to get to each other.
Yup.
We don't have to think about trying to make sure our makeup it was like none of the backstage stuff lingers. It's just like what happens in that sweet spot on stage where like joy was cultivated and then joy is remembered.
Hmm.
And for me, I believe that I am in the business of that. How do I cultivate and hold joy and make it linger and
Yeah.
then make it reputable? That's how I look at this. And I have such a what did I want to say? Like compassion for like the male experience, which I know a lot of people are like, yeah, whatever, fuck that, fuck men. You know, and I what I think is that, and I learned this with my ex, is like back in the day, if we were all in a tribe, if a man could not hunt, then the tribe would still bring meat for his family.
Mm-hmm.
But now, because we all are so separated, if you're in a, you know, heteronormative home and said man cannot go out and hunt, then even though like culture has told this story and continues to perpetuate this story on so many men,
Yeah.
you know, there is no support anymore.
Yep.
One of my favorite writers, the artist formerly known as Kareem Steffens, aka Elizabeth Austin, says that like toxic masculinity fucks with men too.
Yes.
Like it damages them men too. So whenever I have a client and in the world in whatever way, like he has to perform, he has to have his mask, he's not allowed to make a mistake, he's not allowed to fail. And if I'm able to, for a moment, create this space of like safety and joy and ease, because that's what I want to live by.
Yep.
I don't want to be doing emails all damn day and being in meetings all damn day. So I try to find and cultivate joy for myself. I love to share that with people. You want a cup of sugar? You want some coffee? I'm still a Southern woman.
Yeah.
I'm still, you know what I'm saying? You got kids, I'm gonna play with your kids. You got a dog, I'm gonna play with your dog. So I have this, when I came into that understanding with my ex of like, oh, this is what a lot of men experience, when I got to see like internalized,
Yeah.
like toxic masculinity impacts men too. I was like, oh shit, okay, so there's a need for more joy here. How can I support this in a joyful space? So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important. I mean, recognizing that toxic masculinity is toxic for everyone involved, like men,
Everybody.
non-binary folks, everybody. And I think also in this work, it's what I enjoy about that angle is that we're being compensated for the emotional labor to hold space for men to fall apart. Whereas like often that is a space where women are just expected to hold that and it's not recognized as labor. And so part of what we're paid for is discretion. Like we are a neutral party. We aren't going to interfere with your life. And then also like we're paid to hold that space kindly.
Yeah. Paid to hold space for men to fall apart. Also, again, for the listeners, because I'm Southern and spent so many years of my life in church, I will interject, and I don't mean to interrupt you, probably when I go, yes, God, ooh, child, my God, you better.
It's all good. I mean, I spent 9 years in Detroit, so I'm here for it. Yep.
Okay, thank you. You understand the things. So when you say something, you say, oh, that's juicy as fuck. And I say, you better.
Yeah.
You gotta say that, girl. Say
that. I'm here for it.
Yeah. So one of my favorite clients, I feel like I'm gonna say all of my clients are my favorite clients, but he
a good problem to have.
I'll take it. He like is a rapper and has like tattoos all over his face. No worry, there's a lot of rappers with tattoos all over their face who will not identify him. But if you're listening, hey. But all like really what he wanted to do was like stare into my eyes and kiss.
Mm.
And some other things too. You know, we did the things, but like that is what lingered. Is
Yeah.
that he just wanted to be like right in his face and like a kiss.
Yeah.
And I was like, nobody would look at this person walking through the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, I loved him so much for that. I was like, oh, you're going to get all these kisses.
Yes. And that's
I thought
when
it
I
was,
say when I say for men to fall apart, that's what I mean is like that
yeah,
front. Like they don't
yeah,
necessarily have
yeah,
to like cry and sob and like fall
yeah,
apart, but like their facade, like the thing
yes,
they have to put on every day to participate in the
yes,
masquerade of masculinity, right?
yes. The masquerade of girl, you are such, you, shouts out to Parker in the wordplay.
I like words.
Girl, girl, I like words. No, same. That could be a shirt. I like
I
words.
like words.
I would have it in every color. But I 100%, 1000% like agree with that, experience that, and I love the reframing of fall apart because you still have the experience like masculinity wraps around a person, toxic masculinity. It's like I'm not falling apart.
Yeah.
I'm just, but really like a lot of the clients who see us do just want to have a soft space to land for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And they, may call that in between thighs. And that's soft too, but that's like an extension, I think, of what a lot of clients are looking for.
Yeah.
I think that it's the softness. It is a place to undress, literally and figuratively.
Yes.
And it is noble work.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I cannot get enough of it. I I will not start singing the songs and praises of courtesanry, but golly, I feel really honored to be able to do
Yeah. Same.
this. And then I think like when I think of how many years I was locked inside and unable to participate.
Yep.
And I think what changed for me, right as I was journeying into becoming this extension of myself,
Mm-hmm.
is that I realized that if I was intimate with a stranger and not just like when you go out and you meet somebody at a bar and you hook up and then
Yeah.
that's it. Like not what I'm talking about, but like you meet a stranger and then I realized if I could show up and immediately decide that I'm going to love this person, never seen them before, may never see them again, but we've got this time
Mm-hmm.
together with just us in a room. Can I love them? Can I show up? Can I, like, it doesn't matter what race I am or color, it doesn't matter my gender, doesn't matter my socioeconomic background,
Yeah.
doesn't matter what degree I have. It's just two strangers showing up and deciding that they're willing to care.
Yep.
And I think that it is the sexiest, most courageous, most selfless act of like self love and like love for humankind and et cetera, et cetera. I think it's beautiful because there's so many things, especially being a Southern Black woman, a Southern Black Christian woman, of do not be one of those girls.
Mm.
Keep yourself closed off. They're not safe. They're going to think of you this way. They want to take. They, talking about men, talking about society. So I was definitely built up with walls, and the walls are called safety. And
Yes.
there's layers and levels, especially generationally. Um, but then to show up and like be able to do this work has been an exercise of saying like, oh, those walls actually didn't make me any more empowered.
Yep.
Letting go of all of these things is actually like a really sweet space. It's a very warm, honey
Yeah.
kind of space. And so I'm like, yeah, I this is the sauce. Again, privilege because not everybody like takes and is able to see the work in that way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my privilege even in that. So the gratitude for that, the connection with clients in that way. Um, I'm so thankful. It's the juiciest thing. I love that experience, and I do it over and over and over again.
Yeah. And that's, as you were talking, I was thinking too, about in order for us to be able to hold that space um continue to do that, like for these strangers, as you say, like it does take some energy to like extend in that way, to make someone else feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable enough to also extend back. um
Yeah,
so, and we're talking about joy, I think it's important to recognize that like there's a certain amount of like self-care and
mm-hmm.
cultivating resilience that we need to do in order to be able to do this work long term, or
Mm-hmm.
to do this work at all, in an
Yeah,
effective way, because we have to be okay in ourselves in order to hold a container for someone else. um,
absolutely.
yeah, so I was curious, since we're talking about joy and
Yes,
cultivating
ma'am.
and resilience, like what do you do for you to like build resilience and cultivate joy for yourself?
See, that was a really good layup you did. You were so good.
I feel so seen by you.
Girl with a magnifying glass. Girl, I stand, goddamn. So, if I'm going to cultivate joy for anybody, I better damn master it for myself
Mm-hmm.
or get pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
So, I love to sing.
Mm-hmm.
I've got really good acoustics in my apartment, and I will listen to music all day long. So singing brings me so much joy. I've been singing since I was literally probably like 4 or 5.
Ugh, I love that.
So, I know you love that. Why do you love that, Parker?
I also love singing a lot. Voice is very important to me. Um,
Shout
yeah,
out the voice.
voice. Yeah, I mean that's part of stories, right? It's just like using our own voice to
Mhm.
express our own story, with the words we choose to
Yes,
tell it. So yeah, I
yes.
feel you in that. It's so powerful.
Yeah, man. Singing was like my first joy, my first art.
Mm,
Um, I love to write.
yes,
So, we talk about words. I love words.
I love words.
I love that, Reggie. Uh, love words. I love to write. Um, I love to dance. When I would like club, I would be the person dancing, and people like, man, you had a lot to drink. And I'd be like, I'm sober. Like,
Yep.
I just out there, shameless and loose, dancing with strangers. It does not matter. I will throw it around in Atlanta. I have thrown it around in Mozambique. I
Mm,
will throw it around, and everybody better catch it or stand back. Love to dance.
yes.
Um, and like to dance growing up, like did a little bit of ballet and tap and jazz. Was in the band in college, and so like music and movement and word, like they all like live in this form that I live in.
Yes.
What else? And then okay, joy. My selfish, guiltiest pleasure in the world is bath time.
Yes. Tell us about the bath time. I love it. Well, first of all, I want to say for the listeners that when we got on before I started recording, Makeda was just like, I just took a bath. I am cleansed. I am I have anointed myself.
I did annoy myself. I did. Okay. So I don't know when this started. Like, I don't know when this became like my addiction, but I do remember, and I think I mentioned this to you. There's a book called Pussy,
Yes.
and the author, I think her name is Regina Thomas Howard. And
Cool.
I read this book years ago, but it's kind of like a collection of short stories of like her like feminine wiles
Hmm.
and things that she does and that she's developed just to be like ultra feminine. And one of them is that she got rid of her shower curtain and would only take baths. Being that like
Hmm.
bathing, it doesn't have to be like this rushed ritual, like, oh, I've got to get out of the house in like 5 minutes. You knew you had to leave at 3. Like, why did you wait until 2:50 to take a shower? So like
You coming for me right now?
I'm like, never, never, ever. I'm coming for the culture. That's what I'm coming
That's
for.
for real though.
And so she was like, no, she's only going to do baths because it is at least this however long that she guarantees herself that she has no other obligations and she can make it as luxurious as she wants.
Mm.
So that was a few years ago. I read that book several years ago. And then I learned about like the concept of people taking like herbal baths and spiritual baths
Yes.
and like for a whole nother like intended thing. And I was like, that's sexy. And then of course everyone knows like if their muscles are sore, you take a bath with Epsom salt. So like there's just this relationship with baths. So anyways, this was winter 2021 that I was just like, I'm still locked in. I was in a COVID bubble at the time. And I was like, I got nothing but time on my hands. So I would take the most opulent baths that I
Mm.
could create. Girl,
I love that so much.
girl. I would get like fresh mint or fresh basil from the grocery store and like put that in the warm water. Of course, like coconut Epsom salt or maybe bath bombs. Um, Goat milk. I love to put goat milk in the bath. This one particular day, I was rather excited and I did put champagne in the bath because, like, I was like, I'm the celebration. Like, what? I'm a pop bottles for me.
Yes.
Um, that was outstanding. I had like some white roses one day, and so I put like all those petals in the water. And then, of course, I've got like candles all over and like Palo Santo and like meditative music. And so, as a matter of fact, at the time, I would do 2 baths. And so, like, my first bath would be like goat milk and Epsom salt and like coconut and stuff. And then I would drain that and then fill another one. And oh, I put honey in the bath.
Yes.
Girl, like, so yes, for anybody listening, like, damn, she got a lot of time on her hands. Not all the time, and I don't do that all the time, but I do believe in making pleasure intentional.
Yes.
If somebody can book with an escort for 90 minutes, then can you book can you book 10 minutes for yourself?
Right.
Can you book 20 minutes for yourself? What can you do? And so this was my ritual of being opulent and intentional where no one else had to look.
Yeah.
It was just me. Um, I remember around that time I like bought my first like Asian provocateur lingerie and I
Yeah.
would take my baths, put on my lingerie and go to sleep. And it was just me,
Oh, that's so
girl.
good.
that was that was the place that I was in. So now my baths have definitely dialed it back.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't put champagne in my bath in a long time, but I'm not opposed. But I just love it so much. I did not put milk in my bath today, and I was kind of like, I thought about it. But
Yeah.
so what I am thinking about doing is offering it to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe about offering it to clients. I don't know. I think that's another level of intimacy as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's also really unexpected. So I'd have to like test that out because like I definitely didn't go from shower to champagne bath. But I think again, like how else can I share joy to the point where it becomes opulent joy, where it's like, it's excessive. How can joy be a luxury?
Yeah.
And I've found a way to do that for myself, and it's unmatched. And like, have you ever taken a honey and champagne
I have not, but
bath? Parker,
you're making me think about it.
you need to take a
I I'm gonna do it.
go get you a cheap bottle of Andre champagne. If you
Hmm.
want, you don't have to do you don't have to do a fancy one. It can be, if you want a drink, that's fine. But you can just get a cheap one, put some honey in there. If you want to get like some flowers from the front of the grocery store, girl, and just
Hmm.
and you'd be like, oh snap. Am I a mixed drink right now? Just do it. Just do it.
Oh
So
my God. As a
yeah,
former
and then
bartender, I love the idea of a mixed drink bath time. Like
you could get wild and crazy.
I
Girl,
am a mojito. Thank you.
mojito Monday. I stand. I stand.
I love this so much. Okay, so there's three things coming up for me. One is not everything that is like wonderful for you needs to be something you monetize. Just throwing that out there for your brain to think
Yes.
about.
Yes. Say that
Mhm.
shit.
Mhm.
Yes. Oh my God.
Um, Two being there's this thing called the nap ministry. Um,
Yes.
yes, and it's like a whole thing about like rest as resistance. So like this idea of taking
Mm-hmm.
time to like luxuriate in a bath, like that is also an act of resistance against the capitalist machine that says that we just need to keep working.
Oh.
And like it's not all about productivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then another piece. Oh, what was it? It was there
Oh
is
man.
right there. Um, it was right there. I had it.
I hate when that happens.
I
Okay.
know.
Bath. Baths are my shit.
Oh, I
Go
got
take a
it.
bath.
I
Okay.
got it. I
Martinis.
got it.
Okay.
It's back. You had said something a while ago about celebration.
Mm-hmm.
And like dumping the champagne in the bath and that you are the celebration. And I also wanted to touch on this idea of celebration as a revolutionary act. Like
See, there you go.
there's so much in uh in American culture specifically where we
Mm-hmm.
whitewash culture to
Mm-hmm.
remove celebrate like celebrations of different cultures, to remove
Mm-hmm.
celebration of self.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I mean I think Pride is a perfect example of bringing back celebration of self, of
Mm-hmm.
culture, of a people
Absolutely.
self. So I love
Yeah.
that you're just like, I am the celebration. Like I don't have
Yeah.
an excuse for this. Like I'm gonna put champagne in my bath and
Yeah.
celebrate myself.
One of my favorite words is selfish.
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember, like, of course, even saying that, like, it's blissful for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I remember listening to a podcast about the Oprah Winfrey Show and talking about, like, they were talking about an episode from the 80s and 90s and
Mhm.
how Oprah had asked, like, for everybody that was a mom to write, the order of priorities, like who are the most important people in their lives or things.
Yeah.
And the guest that was on that day, she was like, okay, where are you on this list? And of course, typically everyone was last. And she said, you should be first. And she was booed. The guest, the woman was booed. She says, how are you supposed to be all of these things, but you haven't taken care of yourself? They would put, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and my children, husband, God, PTA, whatever. But
Yeah.
the idea that you were supposed to be last when you wake up and you are actually the most powerful person in your world. And most people don't associate themselves as powerful.
Yeah.
So selfish to me is like reclaiming a word of I must look out for myself.
Yes.
I must take care of myself. I must prioritize myself. It's critical, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. There's I was doing this, of all places, this was such a strange place for this to come up, but this phrase has stuck with me. I was in a sign language interpreter training program for a while, and there was a whole section where we learned about like self-care, of our bodies, of our minds, of our hands, to make sure that well, the phrase that was said was, you cannot serve from an empty vessel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you have to take care of yourself. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first.
It's true.
Yeah.
Even before your children, in that
Even
case, in
before
the
your
plane,
children.
you must. And so it's, again, it is revolutionary to be the priority in your life.
Absolutely.
It is revolutionary to rest.
Yeah. It's your story, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And so all of those things, I've taken them on so that I can be joyful. I can be joyful because actually I've rested really well. And I took a bath today and I covered my body in jojoba and coconut oil. And I rested well. And then I listened to
Uh,
Leon Bridges'
uh,
River
that
about
is one of my
5 times
favorite
on repeat.
songs to just belt out into
Really?
the
You're
world.
kidding. You are kidding. You
It's
shut
so
your mouth.
good.
No, okay, first of all, I didn't learn about this song until like 2 weeks ago. I didn't know. I didn't know. So then I spent, because I was in Houston for work. And so for a good week, at least 7 days before and after that trip, I listened to that song on repeat,
Yep.
just like analyzing the words and like singing it. And it is sensual while also being very prayerful.
Yeah.
And oh, it's juicy, girl.
It is so juicy. It is so good. And it's
Mm-hmm.
the guitar part, all of it is just
Yes.
like, there's like passion and love, and it's delicate, but it's powerful.
Yes.
Oh, I love it so much. Oh my God. Okay, I have one more question, and then we're gonna
Okay.
do rapid fire. And I'm
Okay.
also gonna say, Tank, thank you for bringing this fantastic human into my life. Um, okay, so what is something that you want the greater public to understand about sex workers or sex work as a whole?
Why do I want to cry?
Mm.
Why do I want to cry? Um, whether whether the provider knows it or not, whether the client knows it or not, sex work is a spiritual act.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I have long said that um, when we, like as humans, have sex, it's the only way that we're able to create life. So we get to play God together.
Mm.
And so, therefore, the pussy is the temple. So you need to show up and be ready to pray.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And you better say amen. You better say amen.
Uh, amen.
Um, and so, because this work is ancient, it's a part of human history, right? It's lingering. There's folklore. There's, these sex workers do history that we celebrate. And because clients show up time and time and again,
Mm-hmm.
millennia after millennia, they show up to receive healing and pleasure. People go to temples for the same reason.
Mm-hmm.
They show up for some level of rapture or exaltation or a good time. People go to church because the music is good.
Right.
So, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be deep and ritualistic and, esoteric. But I believe that wherever there is pleasure to be sought out and pleasure to be found, that if we enjoy that pleasure and we leave and we are made better than when we arrived, and that is a spiritual act.
Mm.
So for me, the joy in the lingerie and the dinners and the what makes our eyes roll back into our heads. Like
Mm.
that is all for me, like still a spiritual act. So for anybody listening, like yeah, for some of us, like we're spiritual artists and we're sensitive about our shit.
Mm. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Spiritual artists. I love that. Also, when you said you better say amen, what came up for me was Outcasts, A Love Below. There's a track where they say, "Ah,
Mm.
lady."
Yeah, yes, yes, yes. I met an I lady.
Ah.
Yes. Well, what song? No, I forget. That is a track where Andre is praying. He's like, she ain't even gotta have a big old ass.
Yeah.
Just a little something, something.
Yeah.
I forget what he said, but
It's a
yeah,
prelude. It's a prelude to
sophisticant, aristocrat.
cats.
But
Yeah.
that's the thing. See, that's the act. I've never seen. God damn it, Parker.
We're here for it. Okay,
All
I'm
day.
gonna do rapid fire questions.
Okay.
You ready?
Oh, I'm nervous. Okay.
I don't these are the yeah. Don't be nervous.
Okay.
Pancakes or waffles?
Ooh. I'm gonna go with waffles because you gotta work to get the butter in the middle, and then you feel really proud. I'm gonna go with waffles.
Mm-hmm. Vanilla or chocolate?
Vanilla, but make it like actual vanilla bean.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, man.
Gold or silver?
Gold all day. Have you ever seen gold come out of a tomb and it's 5,000 years old and it's still pretty?
It's no, but I imagine that's like
Okay.
incredible.
Okay, well, I've never been there, but like, just think about like pharaohs and ancient tombs. Like, you never saw someone pull out
That's
silver and you're
right.
like, oh, that was a king. No, you bury people with gold so that like everybody knows what's up. Gold all day long.
Gold. Favorite place you've ever been?
Ooh, damn. Ooh, ooh, this is hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm gonna just say on an airplane because I've been to some beautiful places. I can't pick a city, so I'm just thinking about. No, I'm not going to say that because that's trying to be too deep. Where is my favorite? On an airplane because I ain't never been nowhere. No, that's not golly. Okay, so gosh, this is hard because I've been to like a few countries and like
Mm-hmm.
seen amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to pick Guatemala,
Mm.
Samook Champagne, which is like a collection of like rivers and pools from the mountains and the interior of the country.
Yeah.
And you can only get there like riding through the jungle. And
Oh,
so yeah, I was like on the back of some kind of jeep or something riding through the jungles of Guatemala to get to and from Samook Champagne. So
oh, that sounds amazing.
yeah, man, that's what I'll go with that one.
That's a good one. A book from your mandatory reading list.
Oh shit! I'm a nerd. Um, God. Okay, so this is really hard because I can think of. Can I give two?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, one of them is by Osho, and it's called Sex Matters from Sex to Superconsciousness. So
Cool.
I won't give a synopsis, but that's one. And then the other one is the original translation of the Kama Sutra,
Mm-hmm.
because we think Kama Sutra is a picture book of positions, but actually the Kama Sutra is a manual and ancient text on the ways of relating first with self and then with others. And there is a section specifically on and for courtesans.
Oh, very cool. That is very cool.
It's like the Bible. It's like our Bible.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, man.
Um, A song, an album, or a musical artist that you're currently obsessed with.
Okay, song. I've been repeating River by Leon Bridges, so we'll go there. Yeah.
Perfect. What is your hidden talent?
I'm a jeweler.
Yeah.
Hence gold. I'm a
Yes.
trained jeweler and goldsmith, and I can tell a lot of gemstones. It's like with the naked eye, and I can't grade diamonds, but I am like have a real eye for them, like cut and like inclusions and stuff for that. So I get really, really turned on by jewelry because I love like I have a lot of books on jewelry and like jewelry history and cultural jewelry and have definitely melted gold and made things and like oh god, uh, I
That's
love
so
jewelry.
cool.
Love the art form of jewelry.
It is fantastic. Finish this sentence. Good sex is.
Good sex is, period. It just exists. Girl.
Well, you did finish that.
That's all I got, girl. My body is having like a reactionary, like a response, like it's initiating a lubrication sequence. Because I'm telling you, good sex is memorable. Like my temperature is actively going up right now. I think because I'm a Scorpio, like I'm thinking about good sex and like my nose is sweating.
That's
I'm
amazing.
sorry to all the listeners. I think I have a problem. Yeah, man, I've got a condition, so don't judge me.
I love that. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, damn. Ooh, okay. Have you seen Encanto?
I haven't yet. I need to.
Okay.
It's
So
so
will not. So people who have seen it will know. Like, I wish that I could like hear conversations that were very, very far away. Because
very
that, yeah, man, you just, yeah.
yeah.
I would, yeah. I would be like the CIA, but better.
Yeah, super ultimate eavesdropping sort of situation.
Super ultimate, like I could like zone in like what the mayor talking about right now. Okay, mayor's ordering Uber Eats. I'll check out somebody else. But like, yeah, yeah. If anybody's seen Encanto, you know what I'm talking about. But yes, I would have
Love
like
it.
super amazing hearing.
That's such a good one. What is something simple that brings you joy?
Ooh. You want to know what brought me joy this morning? The very first thing.
What?
I opened my eyes and I saw like the headboard of my bed and it's yellow and it made me smile. And I was like, this is a really good color for the morning. Literally, that was today.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. It's like the sun hits this and it's the perfect yellow. And that was how I started my day today.
I love that so much.
I feel like I'm easy to please. This is like sex, babies, sunlight, smiles.
Yes, music. But the thing is, when you have simple joys and simple pleasures, like everything, it's better. It's like you gotta have the easy access points to joy.
Because everything else can get real crunchy real quick. So we gotta be able to slip back into things that are simple and saucy and good. And so if the color yellow in the morning is what did it, I'm gonna take it.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is the end of our rapid fire questions.
Do not go away from me, Parker. I cannot stand it. Like, I want to come over right now and make a sandwich and like play with your cat. Right. Oh okay. God. Well, that sounds really sexy. I want to come over and play with your feline. I'm very suggestive on a sex workers podcast.
Oh my God.
I also have the mind of a 13-year-old sometimes.
It's important. It's again simple joys. It's fun.
Yes, there it is. There it is.
Oh well, let's say goodbye to the listeners. I won't leave you. We'll just stop recording and then,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, we'll keep going. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yes, thank you for being here. This has been so much fun.
That's the point. We're supposed to have fun. And then it's contagious.
Yes. Listeners, go forth and have fun.
Mm-hmm. Go forth and prosper. Go forth and giggle. If you have not masturbated today, you should do it.
Second.
Or make time in your day to do it. And I hope everyone has a really good meal and a
nap. Yes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And there you have it, folks. A fantastic interview with a fantastic human, Makeda Joi. Yeah, all Makeda's links are going to be in the show notes. All the links to things we talked about are going to be in the show notes. I try to make sure that you have access to the things we refer to. Answers links, podcast links, all the things in the show notes. Check them out. They're pretty sweet. Yeah, I really hope that y'all go forth in your day and find something that brings you joy. Aside from this podcast, of course. But find something that brings you joy, even if it's just small, you know? There are times where I just buy some raspberries from the grocery store, and that's like my joyful thing. Sometimes it's getting my hands in the dirt, because I love getting my hands in the dirt. It feels, it's joyful. It is a joyful act for me. So whatever joy is for you, I hope you find some today and every day, really. Cultivate that resilience, y'all. We need it. It's time for a space fact. I've been curious about black holes lately, and I found out recently, there's gonna be a few different facts here, that there are 3 different kinds of black holes. There's primordial black holes, which are little. I mean, they can be itty bitty, like tiny atom-sized, or about the size of a mountain, so I guess it depends on how you want to describe little. There are stellar black holes. Stellar. These are the most common black holes, and they can be about 20 times more massive than the sun, or they can be about as big as the sun. There's a whole bunch of these in the Milky Way. There's a whole bunch of these all over the place. And then there's supermassive black holes, which I feel like is self-explanatory, but they're the largest of the black holes and can be like 1 million times more massive than the sun. So that's all very interesting, and really puts things into context as far as like how tiny we are. If small is as big as a mountain. Yup. And then there's this cool thing that happens. So black holes are only dangerous the closer you get to them, like when you get real close enough to get sucked in. So let's say this is an interesting thing around time. So someone falls into a black hole and someone is witnessing this. Like you push someone in, whoever you want to, really. I'm just going to let your imagination have fun with that. Say you push someone into a black hole and you're just watching this occur. The person you pushed into this black hole, their concept of time slows down relative to you watching. It's a thing that happens, and it's explained by Einstein's theory of general relativity, which talks about how when you're going at extreme speeds, your concept of time slows down. Basically, it's exactly what I just said. Your concept of time is affected by, well, not even the concept, like time. Your time is affected by the speeds, the extreme speed you're going at. Extreme speed being like the speed of light. So that's cool. Black holes are crazy. And yeah, if you push someone in, they'll stay young forever. So it's an idea. All right, everybody, enjoy that fact. I hope that helps you in your daily life. And nanu nanu, motherfuckers. So during the interview, I couldn't put it in, but Makeda Joi and I sang this song together, and us singing it together didn't really work audio wise. So, Makeda Joi, this is for you. Been traveling these wide roads for so long. My heart's been far from you. 10,000 miles gone, and ooh, I wanna come near and give you every part of me. But there's blood on my hands, and my lips are unclean. Take me to your river, I wanna go. Oh, take me to your river,